All right, so solving exponential equations is the next part of the review that we didn't cover yet. And so in order to solve these, because the variable is in the exponent, to get that variable out of the exponent, we have to get rid of the base next, or first here, with this one 3 to the x plus 2 equals 12. So in order to get rid of the base of 3, we have to do the inverse of that, which is log base 3 to both sides. Now on the left-hand side, log base 3 of 3, that turns into 1, so then it's just x plus 2. And then on our right-hand side, we have log base 3 of 12. And then by the change of base property, you can do ln of 12 divided by ln of 3, or log of 12 divided by log of 3. Then the last thing you have to do at this point is subtract 2 from both sides. And then you would get x equals approximately. Now when you do this, you should not round this number here. You should wait until you're done with all of your calculations before you do any rounding whatsoever. That's where your ANS button on your calculator is going to come in handy. When you type in ln of 12 divided by ln of 3 and push your equal sign, the answer is stored here. So then when you put minus 2 in, it should say ANS minus 2. And then you'll get an answer. And now at this point you can round it, and this would be 0.261. And you should go at least to 3 places past the decimal. All right, looking at our next question, which is kind of similar, except now the base is 8. So now we would say log base 8 to both sides. And we would have x plus 2 equals log base 8 of 12. Again, to figure out log base 8 of 12, it's log 12 divided by log 8, or ln 12 divided by ln 8. And then finally you would subtract 2, and x would be approximately equal to negative 0.805. If that base happens to turn to 10, well then we do not have to use anything. We just put log here and log there. Because when you don't see log, remember the base is 10. Still those two things are inverses, so they go away. So it's x plus 2 equals log of 12. This can just be typed into your calculator as is, and then subtract 2, and x will be a negative, or no, 0.9208. And it's going to be a negative because log of 12 is like 1 point something. Finally, if you have ln, or e to the x plus 12, in order to get rid of base of e, you have to use natural log on both sides. And so then you would have x plus 2 equals ln of 12. Subtracting 2, and x will equal 0.4849. And so that's how you solve a logarithmic equation. You just have to get rid of the base, and to get rid of any base that you have whatsoever, you have to use the log of whatever that base is. When it's e, then you use ln. When it's 10, you use log. When it's any other thing like 8 or 3, you have to use log base 8 or log base 3 or log base whatever it is. Now, if there are things, if you had something like 2 times 4 to the x minus 5 plus 6, you would first have to subtract 6, then you would have to divide by 2 because you have to get the exponential part of it isolated. And then you would have 4 to the x minus 5, and so then you would put log base 4 on both sides to get rid of it, to then finally have x minus 5 equals. All right, moving on. Trying to write an exponential equation given a couple of coordinates. Those represent x and y, so you can write two equations. The first one would be 18 equals ab to the second. The other one would be 50 equals ab to the sixth. And so then to solve this, to figure out what a and b are, we need to do some work here. And the thing that you want to do is you have to divide the two equations. Now you can divide in either direction, but because when you divide exponents you subtract, to keep the exponent as a positive number, you are going to want to divide in that direction, not that one. So we are going to take 50 divided by 18, and you can just write that as a fraction. 2 goes into those, so that turns into 25 over 9. A divided by A is 1. And b to the 6th divided by b to the 2nd is going to be b to the 4th. So then, to get rid of the 4th power, you have to take the 4th root. And so this is where you put a 4, and then you have to get that symbol there, and then put 4 divided by, or not 4, 25 divided by 9. And that has to go in parentheses. Remember to get this thing on a Casio. It is the shift of the tent key, the caret button. On a TI, you have to go into math to get that. And then the 4th root of 25 over 9 is approximately 1.291. So then B is approximate equal 1.291. Now then that you know that, you can substitute this into either one of these two equations for B and then solve for A. So we're going to use the 18 equals A times 1.291 to the 2nd power. This here, it's just a number. And so you have a number times a, and so to get it to the other side, you're going to have to divide by 1.291 to the 2nd power. And so a equals 10.799. And finally, then, your equation would be y equals 10.799 times 1.291 to the x. Now then, some story problems that you'll get. These formulas you should know, but they will be on your test. And you'll just have to figure out which one it is that you need to use. I'm not going to put the right formula with the problem. They're all just going to be listed at the top of the test. So this one says what percent compounded monthly will take $6,000 to $20,000 after 10 years. So it's compounding monthly. So we know that the initial value is 6,000. It's 1 plus a percent over the compounds, and the compounds are monthly, so it's 12. And then if it's 12 times a year for 10 years, that's 120 compounds that are going to be happening in all. We are trying to find the percent, so x. And we know that this whole thing equals $20,000. So now we have to get x by itself. To do that, the first thing we would do is divide by 6,000. And then you would have 1 plus x over 12 to the 120th power equals, and they both can get rid of 3 zeros, and 22 goes into both of those, 10/3. Then, next thing you have to get rid of is the 120th power, so we have to do the 120th root to both sides. You have 1 plus x over 12 equals, and whatever that is. Again, you shouldn't round this. This is where you're going to want to use your ANS button still. Then finally subtract 1. And then you have x over 12 equals 0.01 and stuff. Finally, multiply both sides by 12. And x will be approximately equal to 0.121, which is 12.1%. And there you have it. Next question says 30,000 people decrease at a rate of 7% per year. How many years until 25,000 are left? So we're starting out with $30,000 or 30,000 people. It's going down, so it's 1 minus a percent. In this case, it's 0.07. And then to the x power equals y. Oh, we know what y is. It's $25,000. So now, got to solve for x, so we have 30,000 first that we divide by. And then we can do this math also at the same time. 1 minus 0.07 is going to be 0.93. To the x. And then this, you can take 3 zeros off. 25 over 30, which 5 goes into 5 over 6. Then you'd go log 0.93 over to both sides because you have to get rid of the base of 0.93. And so then x equals log 0.93 of 5/6. Now then, to figure that out, ln of 5/6, ln of 0.93. And then you will get x equals 2.51. This is going to take 2.5 years for that to happen. One more story problem here is how much would be a compounded monthly to have 20,000 after 6 years. We're investing money, which we don't know, so that's our variable. It's 1 plus 0.1 over 4 to the 24, because that's 6 times 4, and that's 1 over it. And so then that all has to equal that right there, 20,000. This now is just a number. You don't have to try to move each of these things separately to that side. You can move it all at once if you treat it as a number. Put this into your calculator. And then you're going to divide both sides by that. And now, once you do that, oh, wait a minute. We're compounding monthly, so that is not 4. Monthly is 12. And so that turns into 72. Holy cow. That was quarterly that I showed you before. I am so sorry. And so now that should be a 12. And then when you solve, you would get x equals $11,003.56. And then finally, for the story problems, the 200 ants continually grow 8% per day. How long until 600 ants are present? That would be a 200 ant colony, continuously grows at 8% per day. So now, because it's continuous growth, we have to use this formula, PE to the RT. Our principal is 600. E is E. The rate is 0.08, and time you're not sure of. And then we have to get to 600 ants. And this is supposed to be 200. Kind of messing up a little bit here. All right, so now we got to solve for t. Divide by 200, e to the 0.08t equals 3. Then to get rid of the e, we have to ln both sides. 0.08t equals ln3. And finally, divide by 0.08. And t will equal 13.7, which means it takes 13.7 days. Now then, to graph a function like this, it is an exponential function. It's growing, so it's going to go like so. That coordinate is 0, 2, because this is a y-intercept. If you substitute a 1 into there, you will get 3. So at 1, you're up at 3. If you substitute 2 in, 2 would be 18. And you could go further and further with that if you wanted to. Now, the domain for this particular function, because it's graphed that way, all reals, the range would be all reals greater than 0. X-intercept, there is not 1. Y-intercept, it is at 2. And its asymptote is y equals 0. Our next example of graphing something would be a logarithmic equation. And first, if we just took that out of there, you would know that the graph looks like this. That coordinate is still something comma a. or something comma 0 I meant. And so then the next coordinate out, which in this case it'd be 2, the next coordinate out is 2 comma 1, then 4 comma 2. If this would have been a 5, then you'd still be at 5, 0. Here you would though be at 32 comma 1, and 5 to the 4th, I think is 625. Comma 2. So the domain of this is you can put anything in it. The range is anything greater than or equal to oh no, the range is all reals. Sorry. And the domain is all greater than 0. Has a vertical asymptote at x equals 0. And there's a y-intercept nowhere. And that concludes that part. Oh, we didn't talk about that even with this one. If we bring this back into it, and now it is the third, or log base 2 of x plus 1. What does the plus 1 do for a graph? It shifts it left 2, or left 1. And so you just have to take those points and move them that way, one spot. And then everything else would be the same. And then that concludes this part of the review. Hopefully it made sense. If not, stop in and see me sometime in the morning and we'll try to go over some things.